Nerd Takes. I'm Justin.
I'm Jon.
And we have two amazing guests with us today. Good friend Daniel.
Hey there.
And coming from out from behind the camera, we've got our producer Justin.
Hello.
That's what he looks like.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's the face to match the voice.
So this is a special episode. We are going to be tasting the Colonel E.H. Taylor Straight Rye. Now I'm going to give you a real quick background about the bottle, and then we're going to get into do a little tasting and give you our ratings on it. So the Straight Rye whiskey has experienced a strong resurgence in the American whiskey landscape, yet Colonel Edmund Haynes Taylor Jr. was making this style more than 100 years ago. If you haven't been able to tell already, I'm clearly copied and pasted this from their website.
Clearly.
The Colonel.
You're not that articulate.
What was
I don't know how to, what do you mean clearly?
what was the Colonel's name again?
Colonel Edmund Haynes Taylor Jr.
Edmund Haynes.
That's a fun trivia question. This small batch, bottled and bond 100 proof straight rye whiskey pays tribute to the former distillery owner with a unique rye whiskey reminiscent of days long past. An altogether different recipe and profile than Sazerac rye, this recipe contains just rye and malted barley, no corn. And so this is made by Sazerac. Also, you may know that as Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
This cost about $80. That's what they say on the MSRP, but it's totally because of or based on availability. Good luck finding this for anywhere near that price. Average shelf price for this is $200.
I was going to say, yeah, 200
Wow.
is standard for secondary.
And that's not even secondary is even a little higher than that. Secondary, we're talking 250, 225.
Yeah,
250.
yeah, like, yep. But 200.
Now, I
that
do
sounds
want to
about right.
shout out, because I was able to procure this bottle from our good friend Bobby, who owns the bottle shop and who owns Lebanon Wine and Spirits, all
nice.
in Southern
Oh,
Illinois.
wonderful.
So he hooked me up during the holiday season. So in case you're listening or watching, Bobby, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Bobby.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to Bobby.
Cheers.
So we're gonna get into some tasting notes now. So we're gonna walk you through the nose, palate, and finish. And so while these guys are giving it a scent, giving it a smell, and maybe even a taste, just to remind you what that means. The nose, we're gonna talk about what it smells like. So what are some notes that you're getting? We're gonna get into the palate. So what's the initial taste, and then finally the finish. What happens 30 to 60 seconds later. And I'm going to see what they think, and then I'm going to tell you what the website says you're supposed to get. And these are not necessarily right answers. This is just the things that their master distillers picked up in flavors and profiles and things like that. So, Jon, since you're the resident veteran, you get to start. Tell us what you're picking up with the nose.
I mean, it feels like a cop-out, but, like, it's rye. It is rye spice, like a lot of it. I think, but when I first... off camera, when I first nosed it a little bit, it was sweet, almost like cherries, is what I was getting on the nose. But like now I can't get that at all, and it's just the rye spice has completely overpowered the nose.
Yeah. Justin?
Well, so I'm nowhere near as experienced as you guys are with this, but I would say I get the rye. I would have to say it's kind of got a mild, like it's very mild. Some of the stuff that we've tasted on this show, me behind the scenes typically, but like the stuff we've tasted is like real pungent, stings the nostrils, and this doesn't. This is much more mild. I don't get cherries, but I get sweet. I definitely get some sugars in there.
And the pungentness that you were talking about probably goes to the fact that this is 100 proof. It's bottled and bond, so it's not like a cask strength that's going to be, 120, 130, where it is, like, depending on what it is, it might punch you in the face. This won't. I'm sorry, this shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting kind of just smells of almost like a freshly cut wood in a way, just really fresh cut sweetness in a way.
Okay.
And almost like a green smell to it in a way that is really, I can pick up on the sweet aspects. And when I tasted it, I got some of that as well. So, yeah.
So what they say, and you guys kind of nailed it. So they do say rye spice. They say black pepper.
Oh, okay.
Some of you mentioned
pepper,
fruit.
yeah.
They actually just say fresh dried fruit. So that could be kind of anything sweet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then kind of speaking to the green mossy, they actually say you're supposed to get maybe a scent of dill.
Really?
So when you said that, I'm like, that's where I went with that. With the green.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, I can see that now.
Kind of, yeah.
Now that you say dill, I can see that totally.
So what about palate? So while you guys are doing some sampling, I want to tell you about something I learned while we were on the Bourbon Trail about 2 months ago with some friends. So we did a tour of the Evan Williams distillery, which I highly recommend. One thing they had us do, which don't feel like you have to do it now, but they actually had you take a sip, put the sip in your mouth, swish it around your mouth for 20 to 30 seconds.
Oh, I didn't do it for 20 or 30 seconds. I usually do swish.
Yeah,
every time we
I do a
tasting.
swish. We did
Yeah.
that in Ireland.
But they want you to do that for like 15 to
while.
30, 20 seconds, and
Really
then
like
drink
mouthwash.
that, and then try it again.
Oh yeah,
And because of like the swishing, it's supposed to, I don't,
it kind of coats your mouth. Yeah,
it does, right? So you're not like, it's not so much ethanol. It actually, you start getting the more of the flavors that are coming through.
Yeah,
so
we
that's
did
just
that.
something for everyone to kind of think about maybe doing when they're doing these tastings, is that
That's hard to do.
it might be helpful. It is hard to do.
It is actually. It was just trying it. That's
Yeah, you get. It,
It's a
you
lot.
sit with
but
it
then,
for a while.
But then now put some water
Yeah.
in there and try it again.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get a lot more if you hadn't done the swishing around.
okay.
So since Lambert, you already finished yours off, you're going to start actually again. Tell us about what you're getting with the palate.
Oh, I just took a little bit more. So let's see. Yeah, I don't know. The swishing doesn't get me much, but I didn't have a lot left. That's okay. And I probably didn't do it long enough, like you're about to. I mean, honestly, I get the rye. It's a cop out, but like that's what I get. It's hard for me, and maybe I don't have a refined palate, but the rye spice is pretty overpowering on this.
Daniel, what do you think?
It's good, but yeah, that's just what I got.
I mean, for me, just it's so smooth. It's almost like a maple syrup in a way, as I'm letting it kind of finish there a little bit. And so I do get definitely the rye is really coming through, but to me it's a sweet almost, almost molasses like to me. It's a woody finish.
Okay, I'm with you on woody.
Okay.
One thing I noticed with this swish technique that you all learned on the bourbon trail that you didn't invite me to, but whatever. So when I first tasted it without, I did a little bit of a thing, but I immediately swallowed it and it was like, okay. Which is normally how I taste bourbon. And it was like very smooth. I got that smoothness. But then I did your 15, 20, 30 second swish, and I'm like, ooh, that's when I get some heat. There's a lot there, especially on the back of the tongue. I was like, whoa. And what was funny is that made the finish last a lot longer.
Yeah.
Probably because there's more just in the mouth or whatever, but it was like, whoa, I swallowed that. I actually could kind of feel the heat going down a little bit. So it's interesting. It kind of opened up maybe the pepper. I don't know exactly what's in this, but it opened up some spices.
Spices,
in there.
I was about to say it's like you can really get the spices behind the rye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that you're saying spices because their website literally says sweet and savory with a terrific balance of dark spices.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
dark.
I was gonna
It's a
say-
dark spices.
I was going to
yeah.
say the pepper comes back, especially. I mean, I'm jumping the gun, but especially on the finish, like the tail end of the finish, you can
Yeah.
still get that pepper.
Yeah.
They also do say subtle caramel overtones, which you guys have mentioned, kind of the sweetness.
the sweetness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
caramel. I was going to
sweetness,
say
okay.
nutmeg,
And that's
mace comes through. Those kind of different. Yeah, those are those. Yeah.
And that's a typical note.
Yeah, I say caramel a lot.
I mean, it's
Well, I
it's-
mean, that's
caramel.
That or
Well,
bananas. You say
yeah.
bananas a lot
bananas,
too.
caramel, vanilla. Those are typical notes
Yeah.
that you're going to get out of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just the aging in the wood is
Sure.
that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, so we've had time. So what do you think about the finish? Let's start this way this time, Daniel. What are you getting as far as like a finish? Do you think it's long? Any flavors you're
I
getting
think,
after the fact?
especially with the water, you're getting a little bit of a longer and a smoother finish, and it's really my favorite part actually so far. It's out of the three parts, the smell and then the initial. It's really nice at the back end. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I think it lingers just long enough. I think this is what you were talking about, Daniel, of like your favorite part. I'm like, ooh. I have to say the actual taste profile, I've had better. But it was one of those like afterwards, I'm like, I'm ready for another sip. It's one of those like I'm eager to kind of go back into
Yeah.
this a
Yep.
little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. Is that?
That's where
Those
I'm
are
at.
those are good ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's good because I agree. Like, I'm definitely a fan of the nose. Definitely a fan of the palate more than the finish because it kind of. Not to say that it's
Sure.
Not to say that it's short, but I agree with what you said. It's like it's kind of gone. It's like okay, I'm ready for some more now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready for some more now.
Yeah.
But really and I touched on it a second ago. It's the spices, not the rye spice, but like those dark spices like the pepper. That's what really stuck with me, especially at the very end. Like that's kind of what lingered the most.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, so they say you should have a finish that's oaky dryness that lingers just long enough.
There you go.
Just long
Yeah.
enough to make
Just
you
long
want to
enough
drink
to-
more.
Want a
Make
little
you
bit
wanna
more.
drink
Whatever that means.
Exactly.
Okay,
If that's what you
okay.
like or don't. But yeah.
So our final step to wrap this up is we're going to give it a Nerd Takes rating, a rating on our Luke Skywalker scale. So because we've got 2 new guests joining us today, I think it's maybe appropriate we go first.
Yes.
To show them how it's done.
Yeah.
So I'll actually start this off because you guys start off every other round. I think this is a very pleasurable drink. I think that I would keep going back to this, but I think that also maybe speaks to the lack of finish. Even though I do love spicy ryes, I like the pepper, I like a little bit of heat. It's maybe not hot enough for me, but I do think it's very tasty. And so because of that, I'm going to go with a 6, which is a Hoth Luke, which I think is a pretty solid score. I would probably maybe even lean towards like a 6.5, which is more of just an Empire Luke.
Yeah, we've used that one before.
We've used Empire Luke before, so 6.5. Okay, Lambert, what do you got?
I mean, I was going Dagobah Luke, a 7. Again, like the finish it's a little lacking, but it's flavorful enough. But for someone who doesn't typically enjoy rye whiskeys, this is a pretty good one. And for you, I don't know when it's actually going to come out, but they do E.H. Taylor, the barrel proof bourbon. They're actually going to make a barrel proof rye. That will be put out eventually. So maybe that's something that, good luck trying to find that. But if you do, I think that might be right up your alley.
Yeah, so the one time I get to try that in the rest of my lifetime, I'm looking forward to that one moment.
Find a bar and buy a pour is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah. Daniel, what do you think?
I was going to go with Dagobah. I was going to go with 7. It's to me the only thing that I'm actually thinking about is just the price to kind of that finish ratio, and like not being somebody who frequently buys a lot of rye whiskeys, I do know Scotch and Irish whiskeys can be a little expensive. So to me, I think about it and I go, how much value am I getting out of the bottle? But I really like that the flavor. I like all the different dark spices, so I was going with a 7. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm actually almost in agreement with you. I actually really enjoy this. I like ryes. I also like Scotch. You and I have that in common. So I like this, but that price point, because where I'm seeing this on my shelf so when you guys come over, anything's open, right? But when other people come over, not everything's
Not
open,
everything
right?
is
This is
available.
what I would just put out on the table and be like, enjoy yourselves, right?
Yeah.
And then I factor in that price point.
But
I'm
you
like,
shouldn't.
No,
Yeah, this seems
absolutely not.
a little too expensive
That's
to do that.
too
And
expensive for that. And that's why I'm actually
Yeah.
probably going to go with 6. That's
Yeah.
kind of where I land with this.
Man,
I think it's good. I would enjoy this frequently. That price point.
And see, if I was
is-
voting on the price point, I would even go with a 5, just because I'm like, I don't think I would pay that much money for that.
For
you know?
this, yeah.
It was really good, but I just don't know that the value was
at
there.
$80, yeah, I'm sold.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Sold.
$80. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
say
$80,
the
that's
200
different.
mark
Sold.
is where I'm not sure.
That's where I
think
can't
there's a
get
lot
on
of
board
hype
with
at
that.
$200. $80 for sure.
There's a lot of stuff out on the market that we've had here that's way better at a lower price point than $200.
Yeah, it's
So-
more
That's
readily
where
available.
that's where I'm at.
Very
Yeah.
true.
So I think this is a cool bottle to have. I think it's definitely worth trying and sampling, and it's definitely a unique flavor. But again, back to your guys' point, I'm not sure it's worth the secondary price, but certainly worth something around 80, 90, 100 bucks.
Absolutely.
something
Oh,
like
If you can get it at MSRP,
Oh, for sure.
definitely pick
Definitely.
it up.
Oh
Definitely
yeah.
buy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us, Daniel. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Absolutely. This was great.
Producer Justin.
Thanks for being at my house.
Meet everyone. Lambert, always a pleasure.
Hey, thanks, man.
Until next time,
Thank you.
Nerd Takes.
There it takes.